Hello and welcome to another edition of Out and About Enfield. I'm Maya Matthews, and today we're at Freshwater Pond with Assistant Town Manager Derek Kennedy to discuss the revitalization project here at Freshwater Ponds. Okay, Derek, so let's talk about funding for the pond. And I know that there's money that's been put into the budget in order to get this all done. Can you explain how that process works a little bit?
Sure. Well, each year the department heads put together their budgets so that we can allocate money to specific areas that we think need improvements. Over the last several years, there was money put into the capital improvement project for specific areas within or around the pond so that little niche projects can get completed, but it wasn't until this current year's budget when we worked with the town manager's office and council to put together a capital improvement project specifically for Thompsonville, and included in that was a lot of the projects that you see got completed this year, and money was also put in the operating budget to make sure certain things got completed too. We're going to continue that on to next year so that we can finish up this pathway and start doing some other more beautification projects around the pond as well.
Okay, now how did the beautification of the pond start? I know that you said it started in 2000. What did that entail?
So the previous town manager and department heads put together a master plan on what they'd like to see this pond look like over the years. In 2000, phase one really started with the dredging of the pond and picking up a lot of the issues that were clearly evident at that time. Phase two was putting in the boardwalk and clearing up some of the path, the brookway, and also putting in this nice 10-foot walkway that you see on that side of the pond. So that was phase one and phase two, and then it stalled a little bit. Obviously, with the 2008, the economic downturn, we needed to really focus on town operations, and this was a project that was put on the back burner for a little while, and then last year we started back up again, and we made sure we started focusing on the other side of the pond.
So I know that you and Courtney are fairly new to our organization. Does that have something to do with why we're focusing on the pond now? Was this a good project for you to start with the town?
Well, when I first got here, this was a beautiful place, and I wanted to make sure everybody saw how amazing this place was. It's right in the heart of Thompsonville. Obviously, as everybody knows, that's an area we're trying to revitalize. So we have a great natural resource that we can make look nice and beautify. And so Courtney and I were working together to make sure that the economic development's happening downtown, but also the natural assets that we have are picked up so people feel comfortable coming down here.
Excellent. So let's go kind of step by step with the improvements that have been made. First, let's talk about the planners. Can you tell me who headed that up, when they were completed? Was there anything special to kind of showcase the planners around the pond?
Sure. So Peter Bryanton and our Community Development Department, Courtney Hendrickson, and Beautification Committee really worked together to put those planners together. Buildings and Grounds made the planners. We wanted to make sure that there was plantings inside them that really brought out the pond. So that's why they're colorful. They're going to be seasonal. One of the issues that we have with the east side of the pond is there's no real delineation between the pond side, the public side, and the housing side. So people, when they come back here, they couldn't tell if it was a public right-of-way where they can, recreate, or was it simply an access point to the housing. So by putting in the planners where we did, that created that visual barrier that wasn't there before. And then we worked with Asnuntuck College to work. They have a 3D printer that created the dedication plaques that we put on each of the planners, and we had a ceremony with several members of Beautification, Asnuntuck, and members of our team too. So it was great.
Excellent. And I know one of the first things that we worked on was getting those fountains in the pond. Now, what was your vision for that? Why did you decide that you wanted the fountains?
Well, in 2000, the master plan showed a fountain right in the middle of the pond. So I knew that was part of the plan, what people were expecting. So I wanted to make sure that we at least got a nice big fountain to sort of showcase the pond, bring out the character of the pond. One of the things that's interesting about these fountains that I don't think a lot of people realize is while it's nice to have the fountains in, the issue with the pond before was the sediment on the bottom. There's a lot of muck and dirt and mud. The geese obviously add to the issue. So what these fountains really are aerators. So as they are going and they're introducing oxygen to the water, so it's actually cleaning the pond and reducing the amount of sediment on the bottom. So that'll make it a better environment for fish and recreators. We did have the big fountain in the middle, but I also wanted to add the 2 fountains on the side so that no matter where you were walking around the pond, you had access to some sort of water feature and you could hear that as you're around, because that can be a relaxing thing, or it could be something that maybe you just want to sit and watch. So I wanted to make sure that no matter where you were, there was some sort of water feature.
And I know that you come down and visit quite a bit too, and you like to see, how people are enjoying. Have residents been coming up to you? Have you heard any feedback? Do you see more people at the pond than you did before this started?
I do, and especially when we were installing the fountains, people were purposely coming out to view the fountains, which I thought was great. I've also made it a point to go up to people while I'm walking around or sitting and ask, how do you like the improvements? What do you think about the fountains? And I've heard nothing but positive things. People are very excited, and more especially, they're really appreciative of the fact that we're paying attention to this area and paying attention to the pond. It's a place that they like to come out and be at. So, I feel vindicated. I feel very good about providing this for the residents of this area.
So let's talk about the lights.
Yes.
What did the lighting situation look like here before you started up? Because you pretty much headed up the project of replacing them, didn't you?
Yeah. The lights on the east side of the pond were still left unfinished from the total project that was started in 2000. Phase 1, Phase 2, like I talked about before, really completed the west side of the pond, the walkway, the brook side, the dredging. So this side, the east side, the housing side of the pond was still incomplete. Those lights, some of which didn't even work, so it wasn't even a fully lit path on this side, were boxy. They were more, industrial looking. Some were completely rusted out. Like I said, some of the lights didn't even work. Some were actually missing. The bases were still there, but the lights were completely gone at this point. So we wanted to complete that area, and that's why you see now the more nice architectural looking lights that we put in.
Do you think that adds to a sense of safety around the pond as well? Like, how do you think people perceive it now that it's well lit and cleaned up?
Sure. Well, regardless of the neighborhood, this could be anywhere in America. If it's not a lit place, people aren't sure whether that's a place that I can go. You add into that whether people aren't sure if this is a housing site, is this a public area that I can walk. Adding in, like we talked about the planters before, new nice looking lights, fully lit LED lights, so they're energy saving lights too. But the illumination that you get out of LED lights in this area, it fully lights the path, and so now people see it's a safe area to walk. It's part of the pond. It's part of the area. You can walk around and have a good time.
And speaking of, a lot of things have been happening around the pond in this past 6 months, ever since you guys have kind of been focusing on it. What are some of the events that you've had come down here?
Yeah, so the biggest event over the last several months was the Community and Farmers Market. We had dozens of vendors each week. We had more vendors sign up. We had more people coming. So while it was a work in progress, it progressed to a point where it was such a huge success. By the end, we capped it off with the Halloween Festival. It did rain, so it wasn't exactly what we wanted it to be, but we still got over 500 people to come to that. People see that when we're bringing these events here, this is a nice area. The public perception is that this is a safe place to go, so they feel very comfortable coming here. The improvements that we've made have allowed us to hold events here. Obviously, we have the Jack-o'-lantern Festival and the Family Days and the 4th of July. All those are right down the street, so people still have that ability to walk around, come around here. So, we're trying to create these, festivals and ideas, so people have the thought process, come down here, this is a great place to go. So when there isn't something, they say, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a walk today, I want to go have lunch around the pond today. They know I'm going to go to the pond.
How do you think that fares for the businesses around here? Do you think they're benefiting from it?
Sure. It only helps when you're investing in the area, when you're investing in property and making it a place, a destination. The people of town, people out of town say, I'm going to go here. Hey, while I'm here, I'd like to get a sandwich, or I'd like to get, a drink, or I'd like to just take a walk, see what the businesses are. So, I encourage the businesses to actually promote themselves around the pond, because if they can see, if all the people that are coming here walking, there's families, there's seniors, there's young people, every demographic is coming here because it's a great place to be. So it's only helping the businesses in the area because we're bringing more people into this area.
All right. And so It's definitely evolving, but I know that there must be an end game here. What does this area look like 10 years from now?
Well, obviously I don't know every idea that I can think of or new innovation that comes up, but it's going to be a place where families are coming to hang out, to walk. Runners, bikers are coming to get some exercise. I picture the bridge, the footbridge, being a place where high school prom photos are being taken, maybe some wedding shots are being taken. This is a beautiful area. It's a gem in the downtown Enfield. There's so much potential and possibilities that I can't even think of everything that it could be, but I know some of the ideas that we have coming up is we're going to completely redo the walkway on the east side of the pond going down from the footbridge to High Street. We're going to make the dam area look a lot nicer, so maybe some wrought iron fencing instead of the chain link fencing, illuminating the dam so that there's lights coming on the water coming off the dam. Obviously there were some trees planted. There might be some more trees planted. We're going to redo the footbridge, so that's a much nicer footbridge. The last time that was touched, I think, was in the 60s or 70s. Just a lot of ideas that are still left to do, but nothing that we don't think we can't do in a relatively short period of time. The future only says what else might come up, and we're excited for that stuff.
So Derek, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Buildings and Grounds and DPW does around the pond to make sure that it's maintained, and let us know a little bit about the things they need to do around here.
Yeah, so as part of this year's budget, we put in money in the Thompsonville part of the budget, the operating budget, money for a particular Buildings and Grounds employee to dedicate their time down in this area. That was never done before. So now, while it's not a new position, it's still the same number of people. We didn't add somebody specifically for this, but now that the money funding that position is coming out of the freshwater pond budget, so that we can really dedicate somebody to this area, which is needed. And that's why you can see things like the clearing out of the bush and brush around the brook, mowing the lawn, making sure that the weeds are taken care of around the water and around the trees, picking up the trash around, on the ground. All the garbage cans that we put in, they're going to be focusing on the planters now that we put those in, and the planters that are already in place on the other side. There was really a lot of effort put in because we want to make sure that when people come down here, it's a clean environment, it's a safe environment, but they also just feel very comfortable being down here. They don't feel like they have to go out of their way to walk around things, or they can go wherever they want because it's all well maintained. So there's a lot of effort put into making sure it's a nice place for people to come to.
And then is that a daily maintenance? Is there always going to be somebody down here?
I think depending on the issue, it could be daily, but the regular maintenance is weekly. So it's regular, but if there is something that's pressing, that could be daily.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Derek, for joining us. The revitalization of Freshwater Pond is an integral first step to ensuring Enfield's fortified economic future. As far as this site has come, it is easy to imagine what is in store for the future. Bike paths, outdoor dining, scenic viewing areas, and all of the revenue generated by the evolution of Thompsonville sure sounds like a winning combination for Enfield and for the businesses that hang their hats here. For Out and About Enfield, I'm Maya Matthews, and thank you so much for watching.